Alright guys, today we're doing stuff just a little bit different than usual. I had kind of planned on tearing down that 4.8 LS, getting it mounted up to the stand, pulling the heads off, just kind of seeing where we're at with things. But that engine is way too dirty for me. I've got a couple other really greasy, dirty parts, and I don't have a great way to clean everything off. And my driveway's dirty because of that stupid 4.8. It's been leaking oil. So I am going to go rent a diesel-powered hot water pressure washer, and I am going to clean a bunch of parts. So I'm off to Home Depot to get a hose and a little bit of degreaser and stuff like that. After that, we'll go to the rental place. We'll go back to the house. This is like a pretty big toe behind pressure washer, so I'm really excited to see how good it's going to do. I actually had one of these at my last job, or my last shop that I worked at before TV, and a hot water pressure washer is like one of my absolute favorite tools because of how clean and spotless you can make everything. So we're going to roll the step side outside, we'll clean the engine bay, we'll clean the 4.8 before we take it apart, and then just, the 149 transfer case I have, all that good stuff, we'll get it cleaned up, spotless, and then we'll do the driveway last of all. And then we'll take that 4.8 apart. All right, guys, it's the next morning and I got to go run the pressure washer back now. It's actually Saturday and it took me a lot longer to do all the cleanup work than I had anticipated, but it was well worth the time. I mean, basically that's all I did yesterday was just power washing parts. And I probably didn't get a ton of footage of it, but I wanted to show you guys the pressure washer thing real quick, just because to me, you can probably rent one of these anywhere and it is definitely worth the effort if you got some old greasy stuff you want to clean up or even just wash your driveway. But this guy here, it uses diesel fuel and gasoline, so it's kind of cool. The diesel is what makes the heat for the water, and then the gas, that's just what the little engine runs off of. It's got like a 100-foot reel of hose on it, so I can do my entire driveway. But yeah, $250 to rent this thing, which is a little on the pricey side maybe, but well worth the effort, because if I had to clean this stuff up any other way, it would have been kind of tricky. Like this part right here, this is the cross member that goes underneath the engine. Within a minute, this was clean, and this had an honest ½ inch of solid, nasty, greasy gunk on it. I also cleaned up the donor transmission from the Denali. This is supposed to be a 4L65. I have no idea if it really is. Now that I have all the oil and grease cleaned off of it though, I can tell someone's definitely been inside it or replaced it, because you can see it's got this cheap silver spray paint on there. So maybe it's a junkyard transmission, maybe it's a legit rebuild with a half-done paint job on it. I don't know. The NV149, that's my all-wheel drive transfer case that's going in the step side. I got that cleaned up. I will probably reseal and rebuild that before it goes in. Same thing with the front differential. This is the GM 8 1/4 all-wheel drive front diff. There is no actuator on it. This has 373s in it. But once again, this will get resealed and probably new bearings and stuff before it goes in. It probably re-geared as well. I'm kind of going back and forth on that. I cleaned up my power steering pump bracket. My shop is a mess right now, as you can see, just because I was, like yesterday, I was just scrambling around back and forth, moving stuff in and out and cleaning it. And then I spent a lot of time cleaning up the driveway as well. The engine bay, you probably can't see that really well because the hood's a little bit lower, but this looks really great. This wasn't as dirty as the rest of the parts, but like I got the front diff cleaned up, even though that is getting replaced. And you guys always give me a hard time about painting stuff, and I like areas like this on top of this diff mount, like that's bare metal now. So I could either just like let it flash rust like that and not worry about it, or I could kind of start to paint it. But the problem I have with painting something like a frame is like it's going to be incomplete. Like I could paint the front section, but then I'm not going to pull the cab off and I'm not going to pull the bed off and paint that just yet. So I'm like, maybe I'll try to find something similar to that wax coating GM uses, which, by the way, I have seen one or two of you guys that I follow use something like that. So drop me a comment, let me know what's the best like waxy sort of undercoaty kind of spray that'll maybe blend in, so that way I don't have to paint the entire frame. But anyway, I'll probably do a little bit of paint work under there just on the frame. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to take everything apart, but just to kind of protect it from rusting. But this is the real reason why I wanted to rent that steam cleaner, because I mean, this looks 100 times better than it did before. We had leaks on the valve covers. I mean, even the top of the valve covers under the coils was caked with oil. I have no idea how it got up there. I mean, it's not like it was just around the PCV valve. This entire valve cover was nasty. So we cleaned everything really good. This is just gonna make my life so much simpler when it goes to, comes time to clean this thing up. Like the oil pan down here, this little guy here was leaking, the oil pan gasket was leaking. I mean, literally everything leaked on this engine, and it had been leaking for a very long time. But yeah, everything is looking really awesome. The front of the block, I took the water pump off just because there's a layer of grease on the timing cover behind the water pump, like this area behind the power steering pump. Once again, this thing was just nasty. And there's a few spots you can see I kind of missed, like in that little freeze out plug, there's a little bit of dirt and grime, but this saved me so much time, even though it did take me an entire day. So, because it is Saturday, this video is going to go live tomorrow. I think I'm kind of out of time, and I know it wasn't really like the most exciting video in the world, just kind of steam cleaning parts, but to me, it's an important part of any rebuild process is you've got to have a good clean foundation to start with. And now once I take this apart, I'll clean the insides of all these parts in my parts washer. We'll put it back together and we'll see how dirty the inside of the engine is, because there's probably a fair amount of sludge on it, just based on the color of the oil that came out of it, because I've only ran it in there for about 600 miles and it looked nasty already. So anyway,
Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Click the subscribe button. In the next video, we are going to start tear down on this 4.8 and see what's on the inside. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you again soon.